What's up guys, Jay's 2 cents here, and I'm gonna bring you a video about a graphics card. Yes, a graphics card, I know. But this one's a little bit different because it's been a long time since we've taken a look at Galax, a company that you can't even buy this card in the United States. Not for reasons of like out of stock and stuff, they just are not in the US market. So this is gonna be a graphics card that a lot of you may be like, I haven't even heard of that. So we're gonna talk about it today. We'll make this one kind of unique and then see how it compares to like the FE card, which is sort of like the baseline test at this point, to see whether or not if this card's even worth it, if you happen to even find it. Today's video is sponsored by DataCamp, the online platform making it easy to build data skills. Acquire skills faster with over 350 courses and interactive learning experiences. Curated courses include many popular sciences like SQL, Python, and machine learning, and provide easy to follow tracks so you can learn at your own pace. Combine video classes with practical exercises and skills assessments. Take a free assessment and receive personalized learning recommendations to get you started on your learning adventure. So start investing in yourself by using my link in the description below and check out the first chapter of any course for free. You guys thought you were done watching ads, but now I'm gonna show you another ad about something we're doing. We're doing a giveaway, not with this one, but with a different card and other stuff that you guys are gonna want. CPU, motherboard, graphics card, power supply, keyboard and mouse, and all that stuff. You can learn more about it in the description below, so go and check it out. Pause this video, check it out, sign up for the giveaway, because let's face it, it's the only way you're gonna get any graphics cards. All right, so let's talk about the overall design of this card. It's your typical 3-slot card at this point. Not even a 2.5, that's pretty much a full 3 slot right there. Triple axial fan, downfire, so it downfires through this massive heat fin array or heat sink array, if you will. It's got RGB on the fans, as you would expect. If you have a graphics card that doesn't have RGB these days, throw it in the trash because it's completely worthless. But it's got a slogan on the side here that says, "What's your game?" Already, that's where the cheesiness starts to pop out. Look, there's gonna be a little bit of a rant in this video because I feel like some brands are just so lost on the way that they brand and design some of this stuff. I mean, what's your game? I get that's your slogan and you put it on your box and everything, but come on, what's your game? Anyway, whatever, I digress. The PCB on this is kind of interesting. It looks more and more, the more that I investigate this is actually the I don't want to say elusive, but the rarely found reference PCB. Remember, Founders Edition is not a reference PCB. Founders Edition is NVIDIA's own custom design based upon the basic schematic. So when they design a card, they come up with a basic schematic. This is like the bare minimum needed for the power delivery based on the core that's on there, the core layout, the trace design, the power plug design, all the memory layout, memory speed, input, output, all that sort of stuff. It's all based on a general schematic that they make. Then NVIDIA designed their own custom card now, started with the Founders Edition, which is a custom card. A reference and a Founders are not the same thing. I still see people get that mixed up. That's why I'm mentioning it, because this right here is basically BIOS aside. Because remember, they can have the custom board design or the reference design, but then the BIOS is gonna be built to spec based on the way that the hardware is set up. So if you have good VRM delivery system, if you got like solid chokes and capacitors, you've got a beefier power delivery than you normally would need, whether it be 3 8-pins or 2 8-pins and a 6-pin or something, then they can start to allow more power draw, more current, potentially better overclocking or better stable core clocks. That way it's not fluctuating because it's hitting a lower power limit. So all that stuff comes into play on these custom cards. But the reason why I point out the fact that this is a reference card means if they basically went with the reference style board or the, are you happy with the bare minimum, to kind of quote Office Space there, then it's not gonna probably boost up too high or get too high on the core clocks because of the fact that they probably followed that, schematic to a T. So first things first here, the triple fan design with this big giant 3-slot heatsink means it's gonna run really cool. Really, really cool. Like, I mean, water cooler temps level of cool. But it's got the pass-through, which all cards are doing now because NVIDIA did it and everyone follows NVIDIA now. So you got one fan that pushes up through the rear, through heat fin stack, through the back plate, so it's a lot less obstructed. But they kind of went a step further with this particular setup where they've got this additional fan on here. I think it's a 92mm fan. And it will just click right onto the back, which allows you to then, gotta click the other side in there, Jay. It gets in there. And then this plugs into the board right here. And what this allows to happen now is you have another fan that's pulling the air through the rear. So now you've got this giant 4-slot fan or cooler, which is basically a push-pull in the rear. And when we tested this, I'll be honest, we did all of our testing with it on there. based on the temps that I was seeing. I'm not sure it's doing much for the overall temperature, honestly, if you want to know the truth, because it was already running so cool, given the fact that it's a reference style board. It was just kind of neat to see someone kind of go, well, let's put a fan on the backside just to pull through there. And then that could be potentially blowing on your RAM. If you want to know the truth, adding a little bit of active airflow on your RAM. I would much rather have warm air blowing on my RAM than no air at all. So there is that. You've got your basic 2 8-pin power plugs on there. The cables that are visible from the side, from with the traditional layout, are kind of ugly. You've got red, yellow, green, black wire there, and you got a yellow, blue, and a green one there. So having black cables would have been nice, but now you're gonna see that right above your what's your game. But there's other stuff that comes in the box. So before we show you guys the benchmarks, in the box, they also give you, are you ready for this? An RGB anti-sag bracket. It's got a protection on there right there, but that also says, what's your game? It's like they go, hey, you know, it'd be a really neat idea, and you know how we could ruin it? That's kind of what they did. So anyway, this would mount to your PCIe Express slots on there, and then it would just, what's your game, what's your game? So something else this comes with is actual RGB input for the graphics card. So typically if you want to control the lighting on your graphics card, you have to download whatever control software they come with to be able to then go in there and add 56 different RGB pieces of software to your computer to control everything, so that you can make this match the same level of rainbow puke as the rest of your rainbow puke in your system. Well, fortunately, the other plug on the back side of the cooler right here is that RGB input. So you can connect it to your motherboard or an RGB splitter to all your other stuff. That way you have the same flavor of puke all over your system. So with that said, let's go ahead and compare this 3080 Ti SG. I think SG stands for super generic if you want to know the truth, but I'm not too sure. Let's compare it to the 3080 Ti Founders Edition card and the RTX 3090. So when you look at the synthetics, it's kind of funny. It looks like it's going to fall behind across the board. And that's why synthetics are a terrible benchmark by themselves to try and create a hierarchy of cards to see where they're going to land. Synthetics are also designed to artificially inflate and separate the gaps even more than something like actual gaming engine in a computer would do. So synthetics definitely take the small differences and make them look much larger than they actually are. But they are another metric that we use to kind of gauge these cards. So initially it looks like it's going to be terrible. It's like 1,000 points less than even, 800 points less than a Founders Edition card. Fun fact, it was actually 1,000 points less than the For the Win 3 from EVGA. But remember, this is a single BIOS card. There's no custom overclocking on here. That's out of the box settings with the exception of the MSI fan curve. That's what we apply to pretty much all of our graphics cards because I believe companies are too stupid when it comes to setting their fan curves to not be too hot. But speaking of temps, this thing maxed out at, I think 57C was the hottest we ever saw. Sits around 55 the whole time with that fan on the back. Like I said, it runs about as cool as an AIO card for the most part. But once you go into games, that's a different story. We only test in 1440p and 4K when it comes to a 3080 Ti. There's no reason you should be running 1080p unless you're running like 240 hertz monitors with like CSGO or something like that. A few outlying titles that would actually use this kind of graphics card and that kind of monitor, not your average gamer. So we do threw up a little in my mouth thinking about this one, but we do 1440p and 4K. When you take a look at the performance though, it's actually not that bad once you get into games. It's obviously way cheaper than the 3090, giving you very near 3090 performance. It trades blows with the 3080 Ti Founders Edition cards when sometimes it's a frame higher, sometimes it's a frame lower. Obviously you would never know the difference. It runs a lot cooler than a Founders Edition card, that's for sure, if you can get past what I feel is an extremely gaudy design. Let's be honest though, you're gonna buy whatever graphics card you can get your hands on. Doesn't matter if it's a super ugly one, it doesn't matter if it's a super or a super. No, they didn't come out with super this year. Please, NVIDIA don't come out with a super this year. They probably will, but anyway, I digress again. You're gonna buy whatever graphics card you can get your hands on. And if you're in the US, it's not gonna be this one, because this one's not even for sale in the US market. Something to do with the name, I think. It used to be called Galaxy, and then there was some trademark issue or something about Galaxy. I don't know if it was Samsung related, but then they changed it to Galax, and then they just said F you to the US market. We're not gonna sell to you anyway. So why am I even doing this video? Because it came and I can. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. And if you want your own stuff, don't forget about our giveaway, which you guys can find out about in the description below, where I'm giving you guys an RTX 3090, a really good one actually, a For the Win 3 card, plus an 11900K, plus a motherboard, plus memory, plus a power supply, and a keyboard and a mouse too.